£4 million. That was the Queen Mother's secret overdraft when her daughter, the Queen, Elizabeth II, finally saw the books, the most beloved woman in Britain, the nation's grandmother in her pastel hats and pearls. She was also hiding a 60-year grudge, a family secret locked away in an institution, and spending habits that would stagger a bank. This is the woman behind the smile. The making of a queen. Elizabeth Bowes-Lyon never wanted to be royal. Born in 1900 to Scottish aristocrats, she grew up wild at Glamis Castle. She poured water on guests from the turrets. She once brought her Shetland pony into the house. She was, by every account, a delightful handful. When the shy Prince Albert proposed marriage, she said no. Royal life felt like a gilded cage. He proposed again. She refused again. It was only on his third attempt that she said yes. She had finally seen the gentle, steadfast man beneath the stammer and the title. Their marriage in 1923 was a genuine love match. She gave Bertie a confidence he had never known. His stammer eased. His bearing grew assured. Together they built a warm, quiet life with their two daughters, Elizabeth and Margaret. It was comfortable. It was happy, and it was safely removed from the centre of power. Then, in 1936, everything shattered. Bertie's brother Edward abdicated the throne for Wallis Simpson. Overnight, the man who was never meant to be king became King George VI. And the woman who had twice refused a prince was now Queen Consort. She never forgave it, but she rose to it with a ferocity that surprised everyone. Perhaps even herself, the Blitz Queen. When war came, that ferocity found its purpose. Hitler reportedly called her the most dangerous woman in Europe. He was not wrong. As German bombs fell on London, the government urged the royal family to evacuate to Canada. Her answer was immediate. The children won't go without me. I won't leave the king, and the king will never leave. So they stayed. When Buckingham Palace itself took a direct hit, destroying the chapel and nearly killing them both, she said simply, "I'm glad we've been bombed. Now I can look the East End in the face." She walked through bombed-out streets in white gloves and a perfect hat, stopping to talk with families who had lost everything. The warmth in her voice was not performed. The sorrow in her eyes was real. In the crucible of the Blitz, the legend was born. The courageous queen who refused to leave. It was an image she would carefully tend for the rest of her life. But in that moment, it was entirely genuine. The nation's grandmother. When King George VI died in 1952, a part of her died with him. She was only 51, but rather than retreat into grief, she began a remarkable reinvention. For the next 50 years, she was the Queen Mother, Britain's grandmother. The pastel outfits, each crowned with a magnificent hat, became her uniform. Her wave was a work of art, that slow, gentle motion that made every person in a crowd feel seen. Her private rituals became legend. A gin and Dubonnet before lunch, a sharp eye on the racing form, a fierce game of racing demon with friends where she played to win and usually did. She was a constant, comforting presence through decades of change. Prime ministers came and went, the empire shrank. The modern world arrived with all its noise and uncertainty, and there she was, smiling, waving, unchanging. The warmth was genuine, the affection was real. But beneath the cashmere and pearls beat a far more complicated heart, the unforgiving heart. That heart found its coldest expression in one name, Wallis Simpson. To the public, the Queen Mother was all warmth and grace. To Wallis, she was absolute zero. The abdication was not a chapter in a history book to her. It was a wound that never closed. Edward's selfishness had thrust her shy, stammering husband onto a throne that broke his health. She believed it killed him. The freeze-out lasted over 60 years. When the Duke of Windsor died in 1972, Wallis came to London for the funeral and stayed at Buckingham Palace. The Queen Mother, suffering from shingles, pointedly did not dine with her. Years later, on an official visit to Paris, someone suggested she might call on the ailing Duchess. Her response was a bouquet of roses, delivered at a distance, a polite, icy gesture that said everything while saying nothing at all. Consider that for a moment. The woman who radiated warmth to strangers, who knelt in bombed streets to comfort people she had never met. That same woman held a grudge of glacial proportions against one person for 6 decades. The steel that steadied a nation during the Blitz was turned unrelentingly on the woman she blamed for destroying her husband. If you're finding this side of the Queen Mother surprising, what comes next is something else entirely. Cliffhanger. The Wallis grudge was formidable, but it was not the most disturbing secret behind the smile. That belongs to 2 young women, her own nieces, Catherine and Nerissa Bowes-Lyon. In Burke's peerage, the official record of British aristocracy, they were listed as dead. But they were not dead. They were alive, hidden away in a long-stay institution, their existence erased from the family record for decades. This was not about a rivalry. This was about who a family was willing to forget to protect an image of perfection. The full story of the hidden cousins and what it finally cost the woman behind the nation's favourite smile is next. Subscribe so you don't miss part 2.